they're not looking at the same data that everybody else is. It's just sort of shocking. And I'm, trying to scratch in my head, trying to figure out what the agenda is.
Hi, and welcome to another installment of Mortgage Minute. Our goal here is we've got a world where headlines do more to terrify than clarify, and we want homeowners and home buyers to be able to make the best decisions possible. And so we offer our insights here on a regular basis on Mortgage Minute. And who are we to offer such advice? My name is Matt Thomas. I'm a local realtor. And my co-host is Brian Dewald, a local mortgage lender. And both of us are here in the Denver area servicing kind of the entire area, anywhere kind of along the Front Range. Today we're going to look over, as always, a couple of real-time topics that I think are most poignant for home buyers in today's market, so that you and your family can make the best decisions possible if you're considering buying a home in the near future. Brian, I know you wanted to, I think your first point was basically that the Fed seems to be missing the mark. Do you want to elaborate on that a little bit for us?
Yeah, so, here we are. It is Thursday, the 20th of April, and it was just this week that the St. Louis chairman, his name's Bullard, is really just, like you said, missing the mark is a really good way to put it. He's talking about, first of all, they're looking at increasing the federal funds rate another 75 basis points. At least there's talk to that. Just recently, they were talking, maybe another 25 basis points, maybe even flattening it out and being done by the end of the year. So it's just crazy that it's just such a moving target. And really what he's looking at is false data, in my opinion. He's talking about, there was a quote and he said, labor markets just seem very, very strong, end quote, right? Meanwhile, we're seeing initial jobless claims lower. We're seeing hours being cut, all kinds of just they're not looking at the same data that everybody else is. It's just sort of shocking. And I'm, trying to scratch in my head, trying to figure out what the agenda is. Like I said, just missing the mark. He's also talking about, no possibility of recession, although there's a lot of indicators that point to that might be the case. A lot of other things, including commercial real estate, all these other measurements that we can look at all seem to be in line with what happens right before recession. So, the fact that he's coming out
talking about it, like bringing it into existence almost.
Right.
But
yeah. So anyway, hopefully they'll get their act straightened out here a little bit, but nonetheless, not real good for mortgage rates and mortgage prices and bonds here over the last few days. Today's seen a little bit of an improvement, but anytime they start talking like that, it freaks investors out. So,
sure.
We were on a good stretch. I think we had 18 out of 21 days where we saw some improvements. But
I was going to say, it's about a 4-week improvement, and then it just changes. So, and we've never really been in an environment in the past 10 plus years where all we do is talk about the rate and what's going on with rates. But the reason that we're doing this again is to, because it does fluctuate quite a bit, and we just have these ups and downs, these ebbs and flows of the market, of the interest rate, and watching it improve for a few weeks and then watching it really, turn around and go the other direction. There's so much sensitivity to it that it really does impact things. So,
yeah.
Brian, you'd mentioned, we talked about it a little bit about why renters should consider buying right now. It is never our goal, of course, to talk anyone into buying or saying that every time, every day is a good day to buy real estate. That's not always the case, depending on who you are and what your situation is. But if you're renting generally, there were some tidbits of information, Brian, you wanted to share.
Yeah, so a couple stats. There's an outfit that we look closely at called CoreLogic, and they're really good with just pure data, right? And they did a kind of a census over the last 10 years from folks that have purchased homes versus folks that are renting, and their stats are 40 times greater wealth in a 10-year time period, and this is kind of a national average, and certainly in Denver, I believe these numbers to be higher. But and then they said $190,000 worth of equity in a 10-year time period, which again I think in Denver is going to be higher. We're at a 6.3 average for the last 3 years.
Depending obviously on what your home price is, we've seen people make $190,000 in
shorter time than 10 years, right? Yeah. So anyway, just kind of interesting to see, I think some of the people that are missing the mark on that, right? It's a good time to be renting or anything. And I just think it's bogus. So I think there's a lot of good signs to home ownership and stuff there. So
fair enough. Well, and I think that kind of, it's interesting because as we look at what's going on for home buyers and prospective home buyers, you've got to consider what your options are. And options have been tight.
Yep.
I will tell you that in Denver, they are not as tight as I've seen some cities when I look at our available amount of homes. But certainly it's more like the new construction homes. Those are the ones that are really going to bail us out. And there's what's available now, but then there's, more long-term. And Brian, you said you had some new data on that.
Yeah, so each month it's interesting, kind of a segue here. The new home starts and stats all get posted once a month, and in the last month we always look at data this month versus last month. New home permits as well as new home starts are down, anywhere between 17 to 30% here over the last 30 days. So it's not a real good indicator that inventory is picking up. And again, this kind of goes back to the Fed and just being a bunch of idiots when they mention, and I don't mean to be so brash, but they're just missing the mark, right? The cost to build a new home each month seems to be more expensive, and the market just can't keep up to the price for the home builders. So, they're slowing down. That certainly doesn't help our lack of inventory. And hopefully at some point that'll turn around a little bit, but not real good for new homes.
I mean, new home builders, they basically look at buyer sentiment, and anytime you've got these dips, and when the Fed speaks, it's kind of like E.F. Hutton. They speak and people listen, and it's like everyone's listening now. Everyone's paying more attention than ever, it seems like, to all this information that comes out, and we all get information. Just we get blasted with it, right? And so there just seems like there's more reaction to it, and when the Fed's saying one thing and it freaking people out, then everyone else has no choice but to react. And so anyway, that's certainly why on our end we're trying to help you sort through all of that. But one thing you and I can't do anything about is that inventory in terms of talking builders into building more. You got to believe that they know. Obviously, they've got to turn a buck. They've got to make a profit. You wonder what they're really holding back for, because there's just such a need. And so maybe they're kind of creating some extra demand by doing that. But in any case, it's the situation right now. So home builders will be the way out of this, but we've got to get them to make more. And so they've got to have that confidence, and hopefully the Fed in part will stop speaking, so that freaking the markets out and everybody else. So if Brian or I can be of service to you, please check out the description below. You'll see our contact information. Certainly would love to have you subscribe. And if this information is helpful maybe to you or someone that you know, would you also pass this link along to them and get them in touch with us and have them tune in to our Mortgage Minutes, and that would be appreciated. Thanks, Brian. I'll talk to you next time.
Sounds great. Thanks again.